1, 2, 3, 4. I won't deny it, I'm a Southsider. You don't wanna mess with me. Got the police looking for me. But I'm calm cause I'm smoking that CBD. Said I won't deny it, I'm a Southsider. You don't wanna mess with me. Got the police looking for me. But I'm chilling in the back of Studio 63. Said I won't deny it, we are Southsiders. You don't wanna mess with us. Got the police looking for us. But there's nothing that they can't do. Cause you're chilling with the Blessed Life Podcast crew. What's up, what's good?
Salud.
Here, here.
Salud, gentlemen.
Here, here, and
Salud.
cheers.
Cheers.
Blue Crew.
Yeah.
True blue all the way. And here with me today is Captain Matt Thomason, who is an attorney at Thomason and Tierney Attorneys at Law. Also, Louis Tayala of Golden Owl Insurance and Studio 63 Nightclub. Thank you very much, Louis, for connecting me with security for my 40th birthday, and for bartenders, connecting me with Jennifer and Mac. Tremendous, just tremendous. Wish you could have been there, but I know you had to hold it down. So
Yeah, bro, I had to work. I sent everybody over here.
Thank you, man. Thank you. It's only once a year. It's only once a year.
I'll make it 1 year.
Appreciate you being a good friend and helping me out with that.
No problem.
We got here today to talk about the attempted assassination of President Trump in Pennsylvania. More information is coming out now, and more questions are being raised as time goes on. And you know, when we were growing up and were in school, talking about assassination of presidents and the attempts on presidents was something we learned about in the history books, and it's the first time in our lifetimes where we're old enough, like, you know, Reagan was shot at, but we were probably
we were
very
kids.
young kids.
Yeah,
I
we
don't
didn't
remember that.
Yeah.
But to see this happen now in an election year, leading up to the election with two major candidates facing off again, what we seen with Trump was that Mike Benz pointed this out on a podcast. When Trump was running in 2016, on the day of the election, he was a 21 underdog. He was thought by everybody to lose the election. He won the election, and everybody who was supporting Hillary, all the people from the State Department and all these people that knew her, thought they were going to get a promotion, and then they all basically got fired.
Mm-hmm.
From that point forward, because Trump brought in his own people, they had it out for Trump. So during his entire term of his presidency, they were trying to say he colluded with Russia. And it turns out when they did the report that was issued at the end of all of it, there was absolutely zero evidence of any collusion with Russia at all. They tried to ruin his name at that time. After the election now, we've seen multiple court cases. We have the one about January 6th, whether that's an insurrection. We have the classified documents case, which was actually just dismissed by a federal judge. I don't know if the feds will appeal that, but that's been dismissed. We saw conviction on a records case that was from 2016. They try to make it seem like it's an immorality thing, and it was a hush money payment to porn star Stormy Daniels. But they really were getting him on an accounting issue where he had put it through his campaign funds and said it was a campaign expense, which I guess keeping somebody silent and not talking about things you don't want to talk about is probably, you know what I mean? You can argue it.
It's a violation of a campaign finance law it has only ever been a misdemeanor, and then they kind of like hybridized it to adapt it to a felony to say that it was basically like to impact the outcome of the election or whatnot. And it's kind of a novel legal detour basically, because it's never been like a violation of campaign finance, that was a misdemeanor, has to my knowledge, at least in recent history, never been prosecuted as a felony. So them metamorphosizing it into a felony legally is a very big stretch to me. So I think Trump will win on appeal, but I don't think this was meant to stick. This is meant to hurt him, so to make him unelectable. That's why they're throwing shit at the kitchen sink. Everything they can, throw shit at the wall, see what sticks, right? How many different indictments was it? 37 or something?
36 or 37 counts.
Yeah,
he was found
so
guilty on all counts.
It's a spam indictment type thing to time up in the courts so that to impact his ability to run effectively. So that's really the main goal. I don't think they expect the charges to really stay. I don't think they expect him to do prison time. He probably won't. So, it's just one of those things where I guess they had no other arrows in the quiver, and they're just like scattershot, indictments. Let's go.
Seeing what will hit, what will stick.
Yeah, what sticks.
We'll see what actually happens with that, because the original sentencing was actually supposed to be just a few days ago, but the judge delayed it till August because that debate was coming up, or I don't know what the rationale actually was for delaying it, but I mean the debate was coming up, and then the RNC convention is ongoing right now as we record this podcast. That will play out on the appeals for years, and if they try to put him in prison on sentencing, because he did get convicted on felonies, which is punishable by at least a year in prison under the law, but it will play out in an appeal over many years, and he will likely file a writ of habeas corpus to let the body go, like with the U.S. Supreme Court. So if you're detained and you believe that it's unlawful or unconstitutional, you can file this writ where the Supreme Court will let you out so that you are not in jail. And the Supreme Court does not, throughout history, has not liked to get involved in political questions or interfere with political races. They
Any court, for that matter,
people to decide.
Any court is very hesitant to address and take on a political question case. Judges hate it. They want no part of it. They're very hesitant to take on a political question case. In the courts, historically, any court, they
don't want to have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
I think the bottom line is this. What I told a lot of people is, in the past, I wasn't a Trump supporter, but I really started looking at this when all these indictments came out and all these charges came out, and I thought to myself the question, if Donald Trump came out and he said, I'm not going to run for political office, like I'm bowing out of public light, I'm not going to try to seek the presidency anymore, would they have filed all those cases against him? And I think the answer is no.
Almost certainly not. Yeah.
So, I'm not. All right. So I'm not a Trumpster. I don't even like Biden. I don't like. Like either. I'm more of a Kennedy guy.
Kennedy's.
Yeah.
We kind of are too. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, dude. I feel like everything they've done to try to discredit Trump or fuck him up, and you know what I mean, it's worked the opposite. You know what I mean, it just makes them more popular with different demographics, and I feel like it's just a witch hunt. It's just stuff that they're trying to do. The same thing with Hunter Biden. Like all that stuff would have never happened if his dad wasn't Biden. You know what I mean? All that, it's just, but yeah, it's kind of fucked up that they're using the courts now to do all that stuff, because that's stuff that you would see in other countries that we would,
condemn what they're doing.
It's like, oh, look, this is a banana republic. They prosecute their political opponents, and they try to put them in prison because they want to stay in power. It's like, oh, that's something, tin pot dictatorships do or whatever. It's like, that's not something that we would, see in America, but we're just more subtle about it. We're just more, under the table. But now I think the subtlety is starting to wane.
So we saw the ultimate culmination from the start, trying to say that he was in bed with Russia and he's basically a treasonist and he's selling us out to them, to trying to bury him with legal charges all over the country, to trying to shoot him while he's speaking in public at a Pennsylvania rally. And
I don't think there's enough, personally for me at this time, I don't think there is, and there may never be enough, information to know the real story of where this guy came from, where the shooter came from. It's still very early stages. So, I mean, could this be part of a larger plot or operation? Potentially. Could this be a lone wolf? Potentially. I don't think personally I have enough information available to me at this time to make a judgment on this, because it's just happened. So, and look, we're still talking about the Kennedy assassination decades and decades later. Who was it? Was it a lone gunman? Was it actually basically a coup to take out the sitting president and have other actors take over the helm? So, and we may be talking about this for decades too. I don't know. It might be a similar thing to the Kennedy situation.
We're lucky it was just an attempt, because to
Yeah.
your point, if it was a successful attempt, if the act was successfully completed, we would be talking about it for years to come, and we would be dealing with the repercussions of that. This incident raises a ton of questions that we'll go over. We have various things that we'll review. For the viewers, I don't know how this will actually come out, but most of you guys have probably already seen this diagram of the place where the speech was taking place. You've probably already seen this. So what we're looking at here is the location of the suspect is on the left, on top of a rooftop. On top of that, it looks like a warehouse type facility. And in the middle, there's a line running across that says that the distance between the shooter and Trump was approximately 400 feet. And then you had law enforcement snipers on top of that building. There was only 2 of them, which is actually surprising. You'd think you might have
a broader footprint,
where there's like, if one missed, there's another one trained right on him.
You would
look
think
at the
they would
building up
be
there.
on that building.
Yes.
And you can't see it in the screen because we don't get the screen to screen isn't exactly accurate here on this TV screen here. But there's a larger building directly to the left of
Which
the
is
shooter's
that-
building, which
that
is
school,
elevated,
right?
which is also would be a good perch for the sniper team as well, for counter snipers, and they would have seen that. You know, it would have been right underneath them had they been stationed there. But it's odd that they were just on one position here. It seems a little bit, thin for visibility of such a kind of large open area and adjacent roof. Or at least law enforcement on some rooftops with ARs, not necessarily snipers, but like people with long rifles. And I saw, we definitely had. There was local law enforcement in there with, tactical gear and long rifles, but they were kind of just on the immediate security around the stage, which is also in the red block here.
Yeah, so stage right there.
3 bleachers right here.
Barns behind it.
So it was, I am really just surprised at kind of the holes in like their kind of sectors of fire. It seems like I don't know the full security footprint of what between local law enforcement and the Secret Service they had, we know what sectors of fire they were covering, but you would think for a sniper team like rooftops, like you're looking at rooftops, if there's a sniper, he's going to come from the probably not even the wood line, because that's maybe the wood line over there, but you're looking at wood line, rooftops, places of cover, places of concealment, and I'm just surprised that they were just had such a light footprint.
And the picture doesn't even show. There's supposed to be a water tower that's there somewhere.
Yeah.
That's even higher ground that nobody was on.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah, it is, because I was listening to true crime novelist John Leake and Peter McCullough, who I want to thank and give credit to for informing this conversation today. And they were saying that the Secret Service protocol is supposed to be something like any elevated position within a mile to a mile and a half radius should have people on it. And then I spoke to my brother, and he's like, I think if me, you, and Matt walked out there to do security for this, like, we definitely need somebody on that rooftop right there.
Bro, it was horrible.
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing is a shit show. Excuse my language, but
I agree.
Dude, the more videos you see, the more stuff that comes out, like, I don't know, like, honestly, the whole situation, Trump just I think he got lucky. Like,
really lucky.
That everything just fell apart at the end for the kid. You know what I mean? Because then he was by himself. You give him another 2 people in there, or another person, you know what I mean? Or a bigger caliber rifle. Now you're
Better
talking,
shooter.
Yeah.
Better shooter, he'd be dead.
Well, they said there may have been some wind at the time. He was also... At first, I heard reports it was a 9mm rifle that was styled as like the style of 9mm rifle was similar
like a
to
carbine?
an AR-15.
So it's 9mm carbine.
Yeah, like a little small foldable gun. So I was thinking,
it looks
no
like
wonder he missed him with a 9mm. That's meant to shoot.
I haven't seen the
It looked like an AR-15 to me from the footage.
Yeah,
I think it was
later,
223 or
because the
556.
immediate reports were saying that they thought it was a carbine, like a 9mm type, and I'm like, well, that's only meant from shooting like across the street or back out by the cars behind the building or something. That's not meant to assassinate somebody.
You could shoot 100 yards with 9mm with a long rifle, not
probably
bad. Yeah,
but the bullet itself
It's not
the
as
preferable round would be AR-15 or higher, 308 or something like that.
yeah, 308 would be real good. But I mean, it's a 130-yard shot. Like you can make that. So like we were talking about earlier, like I got my Mini 14 zeroed in when I was up north of your place, and so I was hitting. And I had just had a simple scope on it, and it's a 223. And they're not as accurate as a good AR-15. Like a Mini 14, it's an antiquated design. It's based off of the M14, basically, which was basically like a 308 battle rifle that was very unsuccessful.
Range?
What's it?
A mini range? A Ruger mini range?
Yeah. So they're not a precision weapon, right? They're not at all a precision weapon. They're not like a nice AR that can shoot like a nice AR can shoot like MOA like mid of angle or just about like they're not bad like. But in Mini 14, you got a larger spread than that. They're not that accurate. But you saw me. I was hitting the gong at like 100 meters, just bing, bing, bing.
So it's doable with a round less than an AR-15 round.
No, that's the same round as an AR-15.
You were
it's literally the same round in a less accurate gun than an AR. My point is, it's the same round. The gun's old as shit, and it's not as good as an AR-15. It's less accurate. I can hit 100 meters all day. Ping, 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 ping.
They were saying wind may have been a factor.
Not at 100 meters.
Well, then the positions that they're in he's a little lower than where
a bad
shooter was
shot.
at.
Yeah.
Also,
he sucks.
One thing that we'll see as we look at the still shot of the bullet whizzing past Trump after it exited his ear, I think, is that he had a presentation that was going on the side, and they say as the shooter was shooting, this is the luckiest shit
he just turned
ever have happened. He had just turned to look at the screen, and that's when it went through his ear. He had just turned his head.
I don't know if you guys saw what I don't know if it came out today or yesterday. So apparently 4 minutes before the shots rang out, they had already started calling in that he was on the roof.
Oh yeah, we got more of that later.
Yeah. So then what happened was the cops. There was two cops. There was a cop that got on the roof.
Mm-hmm.
When he got on the roof, he saw the kid. When he saw him, he saw the rifle. The cop jumped off the roof. When he jumped off the roof, that's when he opened fire. And that's when he rushed his shots to try to get him off, and that's when they took him out.
That's what I think so, because
the first shot was the closest, and what we think happened was every shot he fires gives some barrel rise, so he's trying to re-aim in real time, and he ends up shooting past Trump and hitting people in the crowd.
Yeah, well, he's just not reacquiring a sight picture. He's jerking his shots. He's probably panicked. His breathing's off. Because from what I heard a very similar thing to that, where it was like a cop basically buddy team boosted him up off the roof, and the cop was like, "Huh, what's going on up here?" And the kid presented his rifle at the cop, and that's when the cop dropped back down because he presented the rifle like he was going to get shot, and so then he's like, "Oh shit, I got to take my shots now." And so that's when he rushed his shots on Trump because he was, he knew the cops were right on his tail, and that's why, thankfully, those cops probably saved Trump's life by throwing him off kilter,
just startling him for a moment.
Yeah,
I mean, the game that we're talking about here is a game of millimeters, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, the bullet went through his fucking earlobe, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Through his ear, bro, like right next to his head. And then he had the wherewithal. He's, oh shit, I'm being shot at. He gets down, and then everybody starts rushing him, and the crowd's kind of still there. They're all kind of like creeping down, like they're crouching, but they're still there too.
Because they're in shock, dude. That's how.
Yeah.
I think that's the one thing about that people don't realize is that when violent shit happens, people don't react right away how they think they're gonna react.
Not logically, they freeze.
No, they freeze. Yeah. Everybody freezes, dude. Like, and that's the thing. I think that's the other thing that happened with security and all that other stuff right there. Those cops. I mean, like, not to throw anybody under the bus, but I guarantee you half of those cops or the Secret Service and all that, they didn't know what the fuck to do, dude.
It looked like a shit show.
Yeah, it was a shit show. Yeah. You know what I mean? They all froze or they didn't know what to do. Like, at the end of the day, like, a lot of people fucked up, to put it.
I will say this though, the counter snipers that engaged him immediately after firing the shots, acquiring him. Granted, they should have fucking seen him because they should have been watching that at the rooftops as a sector of fire. However, they were quick to acquire him and quick to dome him and put him straight to hell. So I commend the counter sniper for getting quick acquisition of that asshole as he's trying to slither away, but they got him. So that was pretty cool.
Well, I think I saw something on Facebook that really summed this up well, and I wish I could give credit to this person. It's a friend of mine on Facebook. It was one of my buddies, and I can't remember who it was. I should have took a screenshot of this, but I think this sums up the whole situation very well. He said, "I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but why wasn't somebody on that roof?" Like, it comes back to what we said earlier. Like, if we were out there, like, oh, dude, you definitely need somebody right there.
At least law enforcement, like some cops up on the roof just to seal it off, to take the higher ground.
Up.
Yeah,
Keep
make sure no one comes
everybody.
up on the roof. Yeah.
And then if somebody else comes up there, be like, "What the fuck is this, dude? You
Bro,
get off the roof."
let's take all that stuff out of the picture. The technology that we have available to us today.
Where the drones at?
Where are the drones, bro? You could literally had maybe you don't even have that many drones. You have one drone from there to there, bro. It gets there in fucking 10 seconds, and literally all you have to do is throw the drone at the kid. You know what I mean? Like it'll slice
Fly
him
it
up,
at him.
fly it at him, bro.
Just throw him
Like,
off.
his
Like,
face.
oh, God.
yeah, like at that point, at that point, you know what I mean? Like all things are, you know what I mean, are fair, and you know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
like, bro,
It seems like they just rolled through for like a concert, and they didn't think it was a big security event, and then they leave this rooftop open. The former president gets shot at.
they were slacking bad.
I mean, if I'm thinking of like I want to position myself for a good shot, on the president. I mean, we're looking here. We see the trees up there. That's a bad spot. I would initially like trees because I get more cover and concealment, but I got bleachers in my way. You see, I got bleachers that go up. I'm never gonna get a clean shot from the trees.
Yeah, you can't really see them well. They're like right here. So
where
you have
else?
To be almost even with that building. To
Where
take a shot.
else would you be but that fucking rooftop or one of those rooftops right behind the stage for a quick and easy shot? There's only basically two places. I mean, really, that are ideal if you are going to snipe.
And one thing that we haven't really seen is what was going on this side, but I don't think any of those points were good vantage
I think it's
points for
fairly
shots.
open though.
Dude, but even think about it this way.
Because his car was parked over there. They had his like motorcade was like parked like right off to the side.
You have Secret Service, you have law enforcement. They're coming in days before to look at the whole picture. This kid went in there in a couple of hours or however long he was there, scoped out the place with the rangefinder.
Yep.
Got on the roof and still was able to get a shot.
A 20-year-old kid, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Like nowadays,
Amateur hour.
Most people in our era, they're not like full-grown adults. They're almost 30 because they finally get out of college or they're done with their master's degree, and then they get out in the work world. This guy only graduated from high school, didn't go to college, practices shooting. Apparently, apparently they traced his, his times leading up to this.
He went to a gun range.
He went to a gun range, fired some shots.
Yeah.
We don't know how he got the gun, whose it was, whether it was his parents or whether he purchased it directly.
I'm sure he probably did.
We don't know any of that for sure yet. They have the weapon. They're going to be, running whatever analysis they do on these weapons. They didn't have a manifesto yet that we know about, but apparently he did have an improvised explosive device in his car
I heard that
he
in
was
his
carrying
trunk,
like a detonator for or something. I'm like, how the fuck do you get detonators and shit? Like, who are these kids? They say he may have been an Antifa supporter. That I haven't confirmed. I don't know.
Yeah, no idea.
But is there anything else about the scene itself that we want to cover before we shift?
The one thing that, like, kind of, compounding on kind of the holes in the game of security here was, I thought, now, I don't know what Secret Service protocol is, what their procedure is when there's, an attempt, when there's a shooter. I think they did a good job of quickly dogpiling Trump and surrounding him, but I thought that probably they took too long figuring out where to move him, when to move him. They stayed on that stage for a long time. If there's a secondary shooter or something like that, they would have been in deep shit, in very deep shit, not moving him because they're still wide open, no cover. And granted, they're dogpiling, but like, it's say there was a second shooter, right? And he had a larger caliber rifle, like a battle rifle caliber rifle, 7.62, 308 type rifle. It's gonna punch right through a Secret Service member, especially if they get hit in a fleshy part and they're not hitting their vest. It's gonna go into Trump. Like you body shielding the president will not stop a high caliber cartridge. It won't. So they needed to move him faster off the kill zone.
That's what we were saying. Yeah. It was chaos when it happened. I just thought getting him to a low vantage point was maybe
get him
good
underneath
enough
the stage.
What we don't know was how that view looked on the left-hand side from where he was at? Like, if you were
Yeah.
really low, from that rooftop, would you still be able to see him? Or was it only visible from, like, the waist or the chest up to the head from that vantage point when you're laying flat on the roof? I don't know.
I don't think they had any idea.
So
Yeah.
to answer that question, I'm pretty sure there were bleachers here.
Yeah.
So that's why I want to say that's where that other person got killed. They got killed off that they hit them first.
Or behind in the bleachers behind
yeah,
them.
behind
I don't
them.
know.
And then that shot went through them, and then and then the other one hit Trump, because one person got killed, 2 people got injured.
They were hitting, like, the
plus
arms
Trump,
or something like that. Yeah.
And then you see in the other shot where when the shot goes through and it hits the lift that hits the hydraulic line, and the hydraulic line goes off, and the lift falls.
Interesting.
That I haven't seen.
You haven't seen that video?
No. So they hit a line and it falls.
Yeah, so it hits a line. It hits so behind the bleachers on what is this on
They had a
your
flag
left hand
on
side?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had the flag up there. The bullet hit one of the bullets hits the, I want to say it hits the rail, then it hits the
hydraulic line.
Yeah, the hydraulic line, and then you see the line like just it bursts all that shit out, and then you see the lift go down.
We'll have to find video of that after this is over.
It's crazy.
Well, I guess at the end of the day, with the view here, what we are now seeing is Secret Service says local law enforcement was in charge of that rooftop, and local law enforcement saying no. First of all, apparently,
He said,
under the rules with Secret Service, they are always in charge. They're supreme to all the local law
Then
enforcement.
they had 3 local law enforcement snipers in this building,
Just
looking
chilling
through
down there?
chilling inside, looking through windows
in the building.
Why
weren't they
wouldn't
on the
you have
building?
them on top of the building?
Yeah, like through the tin roof above you is fucking this guy crawling. to shoot the
Exactly, like
president.
bro, like shit show, bro.
Yeah,
show.
complete
That's-
shit show.
You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know how
come on, bro.
I don't know how they have
I'll tell
plausible deniability between those two. First of all, shame on the directors who made those calls, or the higher ups who made those calls to try to say it's local law enforcement, and then you're throwing all these local law enforcement guys under the bus. Like, they're just trying to give you support. Like, you're the director, you're the symphony, the orchestra.
I'm inclined.
Protecting a very valuable target.
I'm inclined to believe
Or a
local
very
law
valuable
enforcement than the
technique.
feds. I say that as a Fed too. Because I've seen how non-functional, dysfunctional the feds can be. So I'm honestly inclined to believe local law enforcement saying that the feds had command and control, and they were, it could have been a situation where there's bad communication, like, okay, you're gonna stage there, you're gonna stage in that building where the shooter was, but we have control of the rooftops or whatever like that. Like, it could have been something
They're
like that.
supposed to,
So,
Yeah, bro.
I
Again,
don't
like,
know.
you might have a lot of how could I put it, dick measuring contests in between law enforcement and all these
Good.
other guys where they're like, oh, you can't do this or you can't do that, and at the end of the day, sometimes all that stuff is what messes up everything else, because now Secret Service is, blaming law enforcement
Local
is
law
blaming
enforcement.
them,
Yeah.
and at the end of the day, we're never gonna know. You know what I mean? But
Well, I think the
Probably
role
not.
of local law enforcement is only to supplement and assist, not like the main umbrella is the Secret Service. Like, they're in control of protecting
yeah,
the
but they did a horrible job.
But keep in mind, one thing about Secret Service, and I was watching, shout out to Task and Purpose YouTube channel. It's a former Army guy who was talking about this, and he was basically saying essentially, like, Secret Service, like, they don't have that much personnel, so they're tasked not only defending the president, but also, other members of Congress, senators, et cetera, et cetera. So, like, they have only so many people to spread around. So, like, even for these events, their security footprint has to be supplemented by local law enforcement. They can't run the whole show themselves, but they may have command and control over the show now, and that's still on them. If they fail to appropriately direct and delegate local law enforcement assets, that's still on them, though. Like,
Yeah, and what I would think, like,
Yeah.
if you just had to ask me, like, what would be the procedure when the former president's coming in, he's campaigning again, he's doing a speech to try to get reelected. What I would expect would be that the Secret Service would roll in several days in advance. They'd have the leaders of local law enforcement, sheriffs, the chief of local police, and they'd be doing a site walk, and they'd have, like,
They have
they'd have a site plan.
They have their little map.
They'd have a site plan.
Have a site
They'd be
map.
We're going to have our own people on these rooftops here. You guys are going to be in charge of the ground and the perimeter with crowd control. And if you see anything, like, let us know. They would finalize that in writing and then go over it again like a little pre-show drill with these guys, like security would at a concert. Like, all right, guys, let's have some good, clean, event out there today. Again, we're going to be in control of the rooftops. We'll have our guys here, here, and here. You guys will be patrolling perimeters, and you'll be patrolling the perimeter of these buildings and this crowd area here. And then what about commo between those local law enforcement and Secret Service?
I know.
These
they
guys,
have
if they
taken
see
them
something
out
on the ground, like, whoa.
Yeah.
Look at your
Shoot
9
on the
o'clock
rooftop.
position or whatever. Like, you have a guy right there. It seemed like there was no communication.
Yeah, it's like shooter at your
between
1
the
o'clock.
law enforcement, the local law enforcement who's on the ground close to the building, and these guys up here. There was
They
only
should have
2
had
dudes.
comms.
One of them's got binoculars.
Yeah.
The other one's like got his gun on a tripod, and he's like, "All right, he's to the left, whatever." And
Yeah,
he's, like,
they could have.
sighting him.
Because the cops were trying to get up on the building. Why didn't they not have comms with the Secret Service sniper team? Be like, potential shooter, hey, sniper team 1, potential shooter, at your 1:30, your 2 o'clock, 100 meters. Like, call a distance and direction to the sniper team, communicate. Like, why do they not have that? I guess they're on different frequencies or something. Like, that might be an AAR improvement point.
We were talking about that earlier
forward.
too. Is like, obviously you don't want too much communication clouding up one channel. But
You need an emergency
it
channel.
has to be synchronized somehow.
You
There's
can
got to be something
you can
between
program
these people.
you can program your radio. So I'm a commo guy by trade in the Army, so you can program your radios. Assuming your radios can talk to each other, and a lot of you'll have like a Motorola like radio, or like if you're military you have like an Mbit or whatever. But a lot of radios and you can program your radios to different frequencies and whatnot. So like law enforcement can have their own frequency. Say frequency 1, right? That local PD are talking with crowd control, yada yada. Then you have emergency frequency 2. You switch your radio where you tap into Secret Service. So as soon as they see that motherfucker, switch frequency 2. Hey, danger close. Like, we have a shooter on the building. At your 2 o'clock 100 meters, like, be advised, like, this guy's got a gun. So
Yeah, and you would think also perhaps, and maybe this will be something they'll do going forward, is get their teams in there. They're going to have their snipers and have them coordinating on that type of communication the day before.
Oh, definitely.
Like,
now.
hey, you're at this position by the building. I'm at your 3 o'clock. You tell me where the shooter is if you see somebody. It's
and you can pre-designate like points of interest like in your AO, in your area of operations. So you can call that like Hilltop Charlie or whatever, or you can call that Blue Building, and you could call the barn buildings up there like Barn 1, Barn 2, Barn 3. Like, you can pre-designate like potential attack points on your site map, and you just need to actually have a plan and communication. It's not hard. Like, the Army does it all the time. Like,
well, we'll see what happens because there's now 3 or 4 different investigations being launched. Biden called for one. The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, called for Congress to do one. Secret Service is going to be doing their own one, and there's like one other one that I heard about.
FBI.
So, there's going to be a ton of them. And what does it really do when you have that many like big swinging dicks doing this stuff? It might create more confusion. The bottom line is, again, regular people like my brother, all of us sitting here talking, like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that building should have been better secured. And it's unfortunate it wasn't, because 1 person lost their life, 2 were injured, and the former president was almost shot publicly in front of everybody in that crowd.
Yeah.
And they talk about, Civil War and all this stuff. Like, I don't know that Civil War is the answer. I don't know if we need to be fighting each other, but whoever's responsible for this type of shit is the people that need to go down, in my opinion.
Whether that be like lone actors, crazy psychos, or like some kind of a coordinated effort that's some kind of shadow players behind the scenes. I don't know, but and it could be just a one-off, like with security like this. If it's really, because I've heard that too, and like I said, I don't have enough information to form an opinion on this myself, but I've heard that too. Like, either this is like either an act of like just negligence, like incompetence, or like intentional.
That's been the question with world
like,
events for the last like 4 or 5 years since COVID all the way forward. You're like,
Are they really
what
that
is
incompetent?
intentional and
Like,
what is just
fuck.
incompetence?
I don't know. They could be. I mean, it absolutely is possible. It's probable even.
If it is, we need to step
They
our
are.
game up, son.
Yeah, we
Bro,
need to get our shit together.
This perfectly demonstrates what we've talked about time and time again, like you and me, about like the way things are, situations. Bro, if they can't protect Trump, you know what I mean, and they have that shit all fucked up, you think they're gonna come and help you when you're in trouble
Not at all.
on time?
Yeah.
And remind me about that point at the end. There's
Yeah.
one point I want to make before we sign off. But yes, I
You know what I
agree
mean?
with
Like,
The FEMA effect, right?
you got to be
know?
able to protect
Yeah.
yourself
Yeah.
through.
Yeah,
And
you
then-
can't trust them.
no, and then it's the people in charge that's their fault, bro. Security wise, for me, security, you always have to be proactive. You always have to show a show of force.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All those roofs should have been lined with guys. You know what I mean? Why, there's no reason to have them
You
on
could
the
have
ground.
dudes up there without even guns, just like
Yeah,
a bunch
just
of
standing
dudes
there.
like flexing.
You know what I mean? That
I
kid's
wish
that,
they would come at
that,
Trump.
that
you
kid's
know?
gonna walk to that thing and he's like, yeah, maybe not today.
Ooh, that's a lot of guys. I'm never gonna make it.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
But he probably got there. He's probably like, you gotta be
wide
kidding
open,
me.
baby.
Like, yeah,
It's wide open,
this is
baby.
it.
Let's go.
Like, I got this.
Just some big ass security dude, like
Yeah.
the dudes at studio, like, hey guys, can I come on the roof? Get the fuck out of here! Just boot him down before he's like, I'm just trying to come
Yeah,
over here
bro.
with my AR. Like,
Dude, the same thing with Trump. I mean, like, we get drunks out of there way faster than they got this guy out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, bro, like, so I personally think, bro, that you have all these people that work these events and all that other stuff. This is a small town, probably too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nothing like that ever fucking happens. So when it does happen, they're in shock. They're not. They can't believe it's happening. You know what I mean? So
Everyone
I mean,
was, yeah.
it's what is that, flight and whatever?
Fight or flight.
Fight or flight.
Yeah.
A lot of people fight, bro. They don't fight. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
that's what a lot of people think.
and they're locked in, especially those people
Yeah.
in the bleachers. And
Where are they gonna go?
another
Yeah.
thing that Dr. Peter McCullough and John Leake were talking about is the possibility that people thought they were fireworks, and they kind of cautioned in their summary of events. Don't assume it's fireworks at a big loud event like that. When you start hearing pops, you might want to get
Assume
down.
it's bad.
Assume it's gunfire, just because
Time to move.
he's in the middle of a speech. They wouldn't just be launching off like "Let's go America" fireworks in the middle of his shit.
But you got to realize, like, normal people, bro, don't hear gunshots all the time. You know what I mean? So for them, they hear loud bangs and that's what they assume. It's like, oh, it's fireworks. You know what I mean? The first time you hear
Yeah.
gunshots, you're like, oh, it's fireworks. Then after a while, you hear gunshots all the time.
Oh wait,
You're
it's
like,
more
those
of
are
like a
fireworks.
rhythmic,
Those are
consistent.
fireworks.
Yeah, it's hard to
Yeah.
determine sometimes because some people around here like to light up fireworks a lot. So, but you can kind of tell like when there's like more of a rhythmic interval and a consistency in the sound. You're oh, those are gunshots. The fireworks are more variable. Like you light
I
up
think-
different kinds, little different kinds. They go poop poop pop pop,
After
pop pop. Randomly.
I think after you've
So,
lived in like certain parts of the
sparkle,
city
sparkle.
or you've been to certain parts of the world and you hear gunshots, then you're like, oh no, those are gunshots.
Yeah. You start to like.
You hear rah, rah. No, that's a gunshot,
It's
bro.
too
That's a fucking
rhythmic.
machine gun.
It's too fucking rhythmic.
That's
Yeah,
a fucking,
yeah.
That shit's not no fucking
And
fireworks.
the sound is consistent. The sound is the same every time. It's not. Yeah.
But-
it's different.
And I honestly, I feel that's what it is. It's we as much as people talk, bro, people are innocent. You know what I mean? They don't know violence. They don't hear gunshots all the time, all that other stuff. So for them, bro, you saw the lady. She was taking out her phone in the stand. You know what I mean? Like, she had no idea what the hell was going on. She's like, I'm just gonna capture
There's
this
some
on my
shit going
phone.
down. I'm like, dude, lady, you need to go down
Yeah,
yourself.
exactly. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
It's crazy.
To Lewis's point, there probably was a lot of people that froze up, but the interesting thing was how it all played out, right?
yeah.
I don't know how many people were in attendance, but it looked like several thousand were in that rally.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody panicked and nobody did a bull stampede when those shots started ringing
That was
out.
interesting. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know if they were like they felt confined
Or
in
they
the
were just
areas they were at.
confused.
They were
Yeah.
confused.
Well, it
Yeah.
happened very, very quickly because the shooter fires off like 6 shots or something.
And then he gets wasted immediately.
Followed by
yeah.
the sniper fire that takes him out.
Yeah.
Trump gets down. So I think because of the freezing, they froze for a second, then realized, oh my God, the situation's
Well,
already
bro,
over.
and
Yeah.
They tried to shoot at him. Now they're standing him up, and why would they be standing up? There's no more threat. So I think people started to realize,
like, oh, it's
you
over.
see all these people in the crowd, they're like, fuck yeah. And then they were aiming towards the direction of the shooter. There's a video of a lady and a guy, they're like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you. And, like, I think they realized it. It must have been crazy to be there in person when, and we'll see this more as we go on. We'll get to one of those last shots of with Trump with his fist in the air, and we'll talk about that as well. But to witness that must have been crazy.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be like a historic moment. We want to go to the next one?
We'll shift over to, if you go to
The
2
Kennedy
minutes
one?
and 55 seconds, if you scroll along the bottom, you'll see the report of somebody trying to get into a Kennedy rally.
That one was interesting.
With weapons.
There we go.
It's hard to read the headline there, but Matt, why don't you read it to us, because the TV screen we're looking at is bigger than the...
So this headline is, so it says, armed man impersonated U.S. Marshal at Robert Kennedy Jr. campaign event, police say. So apparently a guy who was armed with a gun, I don't know if it's loaded or not, but...
I think I do remember that one.
He tried to, like, get into a Kennedy event and try to, present himself as U.S. Marshal when it was false. So...
yeah,
crazy.
Armed as a or presenting credentials, saying
Fake
that he was
credentials.
fake credentials, saying he was a U.S. Marshal,
Yeah.
and says he needs to speak to Kennedy, which is crazy, right? It's like you never speak to Kennedy
like,
first of all.
What do you think he
Speak
was trying to
his
do?
security.
Right.
Yeah.
So he had apparently Kennedy hired Gavin DeBecker's security firm to provide security for him at a cost of $300,000 a month to him. To have his own private security.
I didn't know it was that expensive.
They stopped this guy.
We're in the wrong business, brother.
Got
Shit.
to security, and he presented him credentials of a U.S. Marshal. Apparently, he was armed with at least one weapon and maybe multiple weapons, and asked to speak to Kennedy personally, and they turned him away. They're like, wait a second, you got to stay here. They're like, we need more than that. We need to verify that you're actually a U.S. Marshal, blah, blah, blah. So they caught this guy. I don't know the outcome after that. I don't want to spend time looking through articles to try to find where this guy is.
He
now.
was tied. He didn't get in. They got him.
Didn't get
they
in.
wrapped him up, I think.
And what they say was that the Democrat Party does not like Kennedy because they are basically taking money from big military or big, the military industrial complex, big pharmacy, big insurance, all these people. Kennedy is speaking out against that. They're saying they're trying to bleed him dry financially to keep him out of the limelight.
Right. It's I get it. Like, I mean, it's sinister, but like, the I mean, look at the family history, right? Like, how many Kennedys have been assassinated? Like, I've lost count now. I mean, it was what?
Yeah, the two
his uncle and his
famous
father.
ones.
They have a cursed family history.
It's terribly cursed. So
between random deaths and
Yeah.
and assassinations.
yeah.
Bro, the Democratic Party, like, look how they did Bernie last.
Oh,
like,
it's super
how they
dirty.
did Bernie with Hillary.
The DNC fucked him real good.
Yeah, I mean, like, dude, the Democrat. Then I feel like whoever gets mad that Trump is gonna win, because he's gonna win.
Probably at this point.
If they don't try another attempt.
If he survives.
Yeah,
if he survives, right?
Bro, and it's like everybody tells the Democratic Party, like, hey guys, like, this is not the guy that's gonna beat this that's gonna beat Trump. And what does the Democratic Party do? They force these candidates on the Democrats, you know what I mean, with for some reason the hope that they're gonna win. And then, like, that's the whole thing, like, their whole campaign. It's like, oh, you shouldn't vote for Trump. Like, yeah, but what other option are you guys giving us? You know
What are
I mean?
you
Like,
guys
at the
even
end of the day.
doing?
Yeah, like,
like nothing at all.
look, Biden should have just ran the one term and that's it. And they should
Should've stepped
from the
down.
beginning they should have started running somebody. They should have backed Kennedy the same way they should have backed Bernie. And then they're gonna do it.
But the
same.
problem is the Democratic Party has been so the Democratic Party used to be for the working man, for the little guy, right?
Yeah.
But now the Democratic Party, both parties really have been co-opted by
both
large
parties,
multinational corporations. So Kennedy stands in opposition to large multinational corporations. He doesn't like war.
Yeah.
He doesn't like centralization of power to corporate interests and special interest groups. He doesn't like that. He cares about the environment. He's an environmental lawyer. So he's really standing for everything that big corporate interests are against, pharmaceuticals especially, which have a huge pull politically, and they back both parties. They back both sides. So the Democratic Party has been co-opted by large corporate interests. So that's why they're going to try to undercut RFK, because he's more of a traditional historic Democrat in light of his father, in light of his uncle.
Right.
And
Classic
the Democratic
Democrat.
Party is completely transformed since then.
Completely.
So it's not what they used to, and they still try to act like they care about the little guy, and it's bullshit. So
Yeah, they still try
more
to
than
carry that on with
Republicans.
minority
Yeah.
communities and stuff, and I think everybody sees that now. You'll see like blacks for Trump or African
Bro,
Americans
it's
for
super
Trump. and all this.
transparent now, and I feel like, dude, like, let's be real. If they were to back Kennedy, Kennedy would win, hands down. But
I think
They're
he
not going
If
absolutely
they
could.
put their
Yeah.
apparatus behind him,
Yeah.
like it's like, oh, you wanted the answer to be Trump, it could very well be Kennedy. So we look at Kennedy right now. He's in his 70s, but still in very good shape. He. The thing that they did to Kennedy was they assassinated him with silence. Because there's a media like whiteout or blackout, whatever you want to call it.
yeah,
They don't even want to barely say his name. Like, I sit there with my mom and we'll watch like the weekly news at the end of the week on public broadcasting, and they'll barely ever mention his name. All they talk about is Biden and Trump and what's going on with Biden and what's going on in the and they don't even like to give Trump the coverage they used to. Before, they were just, it was all about clicks and selling ads and this and that.
Well, they ate it up.
They loved Trump because he was giving them all this fuel for like
So much
clickbait,
rating,
right?
So many views. Yeah.
They don't even want to do that. Kennedy, they basically completely silent. So most people, unless you're on social media, a lot of people from Instagram, from whatever, that's where they're finding out about Kennedy from. So what has Kennedy done? Well, he sued Monsanto. He was involved in litigation against the people who were polluting the Hudson River. Was largely responsible for the lawsuits that he prevailed on. Were largely responsible for cleaning up the Hudson in New York. And again, he's against big pharmacy and the vaccines that they told us were safe and effective, which are not, which have side effects, which are inherently unsafe. That's how they got immunity protection from liability enshrined in federal law in the 80s, was because they knew that these things were unavoidably unsafe, and he's been speaking out against that, so they give him silence, right? He could have been a great answer to Trump if they backed him, but instead, the people that he's talking about, the military complex, the big pharmacy, are completely against him.
Yep.
So what do? They try to bleed him dry, make him spend $300,000 a month on his own security, and finally, the night Trump was shot at, I put out a just post and I was saying, like, God bless Trump, God keep him safe, and I said immediately support Secret Service protection for Kennedy. He has met every single criteria of a major candidate to get that Secret Service protection. He's been polling at around 20%. And what other qualifications do you need other than your uncle and your father was shot and assassinated to have Secret Service protection? For the amount of time that Kennedy family has been in politics and stuff, you would think that it would be a no-brainer. But Biden was apparently the final call on whether they were going to provide Secret Service protection to Kennedy, and they did not do it until after Trump was shot at.
Yeah.
I've been saying that for a long time, and I said it the night that Trump was shot at. Immediately, he should be given Secret Service protection, and I think they know now how bad the backlash would be if something did happen to them when they didn't get the Secret Service protection.
Real
Especially
bad.
now Trump and then now Kennedy.
They're already.
But dog,
Yeah.
if I'm Kennedy, I would feel like Tupac. I'd be like, I got it twisted. I don't know who to trust. Should I keep my own security because the Secret Service didn't even do
Oh
Trump?
no,
right?
I would keep both of them. Fuck
I would
yeah.
keep both of them
Have
too,
them work
probably.
together.
Hell yeah.
Because if
co-op.
the Secret Service can't keep Trump from getting shot in the ear, then I think I need private security who can get fired if they fuck up.
Yeah.
Or sued if what I mean.
And then the thing too is when you have private security, I think the protocol is way different. You know what I mean? Like, if I bring you in to be my private security, one I'm gonna make sure, like, they had a good thing going back to the Trump one. I've been watching all the podcasts and all the stuff on it and all the exposure. And they talk about like the women that he has like guarding him. Like,
Yeah,
dude,
I saw
all
that.
those women are shorter than Trump. Like my rule, bro, with all my security at the bar is if you're not bigger than me, then you can't be security because you're no good to me. You're my size, bro. Like
You
you're
can't
not
take on the angry 6'3" guy that weighs 230.
Yeah,
like, it's
you're
not
like,
gonna happen.
If you're no good to me. You know what I mean, and I feel like that's what's I going with that.
Well, you were saying that.
Yeah, so
in
with like
the
private security,
pictures-
you could actually pick who your security is compared to Secret Service. They're just gonna send
Some of those Secret Service agents they could not even reholster their weapons.
Yes.
They were so panicked. They were like,
Well, they were looking in different directions. They were looking to try to see if they seen like a shooter on there, and they're trying to reholster. And
they have no, like, they don't even.
But we go back
Does
to
the Secret Service need to be wearing suits? To be honest with you, as well, can we get them in something else?
Can we just get them in
like,
tactical
you got a
gear?
fucking coat that's covering your holster and shit. Like it just seems a little awkward.
But
Can we get
these
them in
people are
tactical
James
gear,
Bond.
please?
Yeah, but we go back to the same thing, bro. That lady's probably never seen any action. She's probably never been in a high stress situation. You know what I mean? So this is her first time at the rodeo, and now, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, they're
And they
shorter.
were
I think they
choking.
say,
Yeah.
and I don't know Trump's exact height, but I've
I guess
heard
it's a big
as
guy.
tall as 6'3" or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big dude.
And he's like
So they're
300
saying
something
like
pounds,
somebody who's supposed to be a body shield, like the Secret Service, shouldn't be shorter than that person.
Yeah, no. You know what I mean? Like, that,
Yeah.
all those things. But I think that if I was Kennedy, I'd keep my private security and, all right, Secret Service, you guys could come along with us.
Probably. You might be able to cut down on it a little bit if you can trust the Secret Service, but at this point, bro,
Depends who they send me, bro. If they send me the ladies that they took off with Trump,
Yeah.
why do you
there were some
want them?
shorter chicks. You could see
Yeah,
it.
bro.
They
And
were
it has
definitely shorter than the rest of the Secret Service and Trump.
I mean, I feel like that's a big thing there, where you have your private security, you're picking who's working for you. Secret Service, you're getting who they
Get
send
what you get. Yeah.
Dude, in the private sector,
Good luck.
they just had an analyst on Patrick Beck-David. Can't remember. He used to work with Blackwater, the defense contractor who was over in Iraq and all that. And he was saying like you get the real kind of side of the story from them. He's like, dude, there were so many failures. Like it's
Yeah.
insane. So you get a guy who's like an expert, and they're out in the private sector, and then you get these people that are scrambling, and then it begs a question about training too, because you would think that people like whoever, male, female, or anybody who's on that Secret Service detail, you'd think they'd have similar setups with like blanks where you're at least hearing a loud pop that would put you under stress
Yeah.
going on.
You're
and like,
training.
what are you gonna do?
Yeah, what are
Do
they doing for
have
their training?
Like,
Yeah.
blank fire exercises going on?
Well, dude,
in
then I
the-
don't know if you
should.
saw that picture where they show the Secret Service that Reagan had and the Secret Service that Trump had. You know what I mean? Like the guys had Uzis in Reagan's day. They bust out with the Uzis, big old fucking tall John Wayne looking fucking Clint Eastwood looking dudes. And then you
yeah.
got fucking
It's a different.
Yeah, you
Yeah. Different times.
yeah, bro.
I don't know. I heard it was basically like a DEI push in the Secret Service to like have it like 30% female by a certain year.
by 30-30.
30-30.
That is the
so
goal of the current director of the Secret Service. Her
I
name is
just-
Michelle something.
yeah,
The
I
lady-
just
she was the head security for Pepsi.
it's
That's what I heard,
hysterical.
yeah.
So I just don't
Somebody's trying to
understand
assassinate
quotas.
Coca-Cola's trying to shoot at Pepsi,
I-
or what's happening?
stealing-
I know, right? The Coca-Cola's gonna steal our secret recipe. Oh no, you know.
Yeah, explain to me what security for Pepsi involves. I'm just curious.
But I just don't like inherently. I don't like quotas. Like immutable characteristic quotas to me are you know, especially when life and limb is at stake here. Like we should not have quotas. It should be completely merit based. Like we want the best. I don't care if the Secret Service is 80% female. If the females are the shit that you know are applying and are passing the tests and are handling their business and are delivering, you know, putting up metrics, like that's great. Like as long as they are the cream of the crop, like it doesn't matter. Like
Meritocracy.
yeah, meritocracy.
This-
So
We see it more and more now. I think even the people who were like woke to sleep or something, they were blinded by it, are now starting to realize like it's like the Joe Rogan skit. He did this comedy skit back in 2016 on a special trigger. And he goes, if there's a shack attack at the White House, I'm not the guy. And he's like, you know how I'm not sexist? Because I can't do things that big strong men can do either.
Uh-huh.
And he's like when there was a guy who got past and ran all the way up the front and got inside the White House, but Obama wasn't home. This was during the Obama.
he
remember that.
he ragged all the female Secret Service agent, like just threw her to the side or some
and
shit.
Ran like a melee
like
through the
rampant.
White House, like just
Yeah.
ramsacking shit and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So the point is, like, Rogan's final point was, if you're Obama, you're probably like, not that much diversity. Like, I'll take
Guys.
George, I'll take Tiny, I'll
guys,
take
listen.
all those. fucking
Because, yeah, bro,
security
like
guards over
security wise,
some
you always
tiny-ass
have to think of the worst case scenario. You know what I mean? Worst case scenario, the biggest, baddest motherfucker's gonna walk through that door, and I'm gonna have to take care of it.
Yeah.
So I want at least big bad motherfuckers next to me when I'm gonna have to take care of it. You know what I mean? And that's the same thing
You
with
want a
that.
good showing.
Yeah, exactly, bro. And it's like,
If you want it, you're going to have to earn it.
yeah, exactly, bro. And again, it becomes a deterrent. where people walk in and they're like, I don't know if it's worth it. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
they want.
It's a big factor that, like, you know, some people see, oh wait, oh my gosh, no one's on rooftops, no one's on secure. Well, okay, here I go then. You know, it's like,
you know what I mean?
it's just basic human psychology, like.
Exactly, and I feel like that's the part that they're missing out on right there, big time.
And no force projection really show up for us, because that will cause people to drop their balls.
Why don't we shift to shooter on the rooftop? It starts at about 9:30.
9:45, 9:30. Yeah, let's check it out.
Or did I scratch it out?
I think
you
it was
might have
9:30.
updated notes. Yeah.
Here we go. Let's see. I think this is a video of the actual slither little snake on the rooftop.
And this is chaotic too.
Yeah, here we go.
And you have the sound on this one? We can play sound on this. We're just trying to avoid copyright.
All right, sound on. I'm gonna turn it up.
Exactly. There's more buildings behind the tan building that we can see, and we were back there, and there's two or three buildings behind that, and
Here he is.
He was on both of them. I assume
This is after they shot him.
On
That's his body.
small section from one to the other, and that was where he.
Look at that. It says shooters outside security perimeter on elevated platform. I mean, just look at that. Look at that heading right there. If that's true, like, I mean, if there's how can he be? How can 400 feet be outside your security perimeter?
They said it was 100 feet was the security perimeter, and then after that they had the thing. But
oh my god!
Again, you know what I mean, like if you're
I cannot believe that. It cannot be true.
I don't know. It just doesn't make sense.
If that's true, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like 100, it's like if they're
100 yards.
100 yards. So that's like like 300 odd feet. That's a pretty. I mean, how many? Like, I mean, you're in what is this? Rural Pennsylvania, right? Like, how many people have hunting rifles there? 308s, like 30 odd sixes. I mean, those are good. I'm gonna misspeak, but I mean, we're talking like 700-meter shots, 800-meter shots with some of those like battle rifle caliber weapons, like with a decent weapon, and a scope, like you can really reach out and touch somebody. So
able to basically climb to the next building, and you told law enforcement, hey, there's a guy over there. Correct. I don't know how he got up there. I don't know. But I definitely saw him up there, and officer, and that was.
So this is just it.
Although
the police cars in the background, that was an eyewitness.
Yep.
Plenty of time, opportunity to eliminate the threat. WTF? This is TMZ, I think, provided this footage. It's from somebody's cell phone.
At this time, the shooter is still getting in position. He's crawling on the roof.
I don't see him yet in that video because they keep on panning back and forth between Trump and the building, but it gets better. And you can hear Trump speaking in the background.
Yeah, literally, like
it's so close.
And it's not like one person; it's a bunch of people.
There he is. He's moving around. He's slithering around, getting in position.
Get on his belly to like low crawl to the other side of the roof. Can you imagine how helpless you would feel if you're watching that guy slowly crawl over there? Like, dude, he's up there. Somebody get up there.
Where's law enforcement? Where's Secret Service? Where's communication?
So here's the TMZ footage. And here's him.
He's getting sorted right there.
We'll have to stop it at about 11:30ish.
Yeah. So that was that. I mean, I don't know how much time.
Scroll forward to 1826 if you would.
Yeah, 1826. Sure.
Yeah.
So we'll get a picture of this guy here.
He's somewhere in that ballpark.
Here he is.
Yeah. So we'll leave that there for a second. What were you saying, man? I
don't know the. Look at this fucking bozo, right? I just want to say, while I'm thinking of it, a hysterical irony could be at play here. So this guy is like, his great deed that he was going to do with his life was stop the diabolical President Trump, who's like an authoritarian despot, and he's going to save America, right? By killing him. That's maybe what he thinks, right? And so that's what's going through his head. Imagine, like, that. This is your great defining moment in your life. You're going to save the country. and instead you fuck up so bad, you miss, you end up getting the guy you're trying to kill elected by giving a political boon, and you actually are the reason he gets elected.
And you don't live to
Can you
see
imagine?
it,
And you don't live to see it. So your worst nightmare plays out, and you effectuated it. So, you know, rest in peace, bitch. Like,
Well, the one thing I wanted to the question I wanted to raise is like, if you're gonna assassinate the president, why would you pick McLovin from fucking Superbad to fucking do the job, right?
Yeah, bro. That whole thing about it's fake.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or that. Yeah. Like.
it is
Hey,
McLovin.
look at this motherfucker.
He's got an ID
He
from
looks
Hawaii.
Like McLovin
Yes.
from
Yes.
Superbad.
Yeah, he just tried to buy fucking liquor with a fake ID, 100%.
So if you're gonna assassinate the president, like if it's like if I'm thinking about this, and not that I would, but if I was, wouldn't you get like talk to like some former Navy SEALs who are no longer in that life and are like out of it and like, dude, can you still pull a trigger? Or like, do you paint houses anymore? Yeah, I paint houses. I do clean up too. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like you would ask like a guy who's fully capable. That's McLovin, bro.
yeah.
Look at that motherfucker.
100%.
This 20-year-old kid, that's the guy that they allowed to take a shot at the fucking president, dude. Holy shit.
Bro.
Holy shit.
He
That
looks yeah,
and
he
I
looks
don't
like
know-
such a bozo.
And you know what?
It's great.
Then I start wondering, well, why this guy, right? If you look at him, you know, he's a young youth. He looks like a lot of the kids you would see out there today. Maybe confused, might have issues about his gender or something. He looks like the female, male, he, she, it, who shot up the school in Tennessee.
Yeah.
So they have plausible deniability. Oh, he was just a lone wolf gunman. He was a confused young man, and, you know, he just decided to shoot at the president. But you guys let that shit happen. You know what I mean? Basically.
Yeah, and what I was going to say earlier was that I don't know how much time elapsed between the onlookers, the people in the crowd flagged down law enforcement to the time the shooter actually took shots. But, it was time enough for cops to, like get up to the building, buddy team it up, look at him. Oh, shit, he's presenting a gun. And then it's just like, all right, where's the communication to the sniper team? Like, so it was time enough. It was some minutes. I've heard something like 4 minutes. 4 minutes, right?
I seen the video where they
spotting him and actually
they
have
a video
of time to not shoot someone when you have a sniper team in place. Like,
they have a video where it starts from when people are yelling and telling them that someone's on the roof to the point where he starts shooting. It's 4 minutes, and then before that, bro, the three snipers that were inside that building, it was half an hour from when they first spotted him, took pictures, saw him with the rangefinder, to when he took a shot off.
They lost it
30
in the
minutes.
crowd.
That was happening right before the event, when those 30 minutes leading up to the
Yes.
When he was getting situated, like, so first he was
how
like,
far is that?
yeah, he was with the rangefinder. They identified him, and because they saw him doing sketchy shit outside security, and then they deployed officers to go find him, but they lost him in the crowd, and then they didn't reacquire him until
Then he comes back with a backpack supposedly,
yeah.
and then that's when they lose him again.
Well, most likely he had parked his car probably somewhere nearby, because they said he was driving a Hyundai Sonata, so he probably just went to retrieve the backpack and his weapon, and then finally could get up on that fucking roof.
Probably.
And then there was a ladder there that he was able to easily climb up. So you were saying that law enforcement had to like hoist each other on a low point to get up on there get up
to
on that
see
roof.
him.
Yeah.
But there's pictures that I've seen where there's a ladder leading right up
in
that
that,
roof behind
like,
some arbor.
That's that fixed
alcove.
ladder that's on the building.
There's an alcove behind the trees that he shimmied up, and after
And you don't think you'd have
So-
one dude just kind of post up like, hey, you can't go up that ladder?
Yeah,
There's
you
nobody
would
there.
think
know,
security
right?
wise, like, hey, stand by the ladder, okay?
yeah.
Yeah, just like you have one job. You're just gonna stand right there. That's
Watch the
all
roof
we need you to
access
do.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're guarding roof access. You're gonna cordon it off, and no one's coming up the fucking ladder. And we're gonna have a couple guys on the roof for oversight, like Overwatch. And it's like, these are not new concepts. These
I
are
think
very
you could
old
get
concepts.
volunteer people that would just stand up there.
Oh,
and
boy, you got
secure
Trumpsters
the
all day. They would
Yeah.
fucking make sure Trump is fine.
For sure.
Yeah.
You have the friggin' oath keepers and all them dudes ready to just step up there on the rooftop.
Yeah.
What else we got? We had the interview
yeah.
with the doctor who
Let's
who
go to
was
what's it,
helping,
2531, right?
provide,
Yeah.
medical assistance to
this is some crazy
the
shit.
people who were injured.
Here we go.
CPR. So there's a bystander.
This,
that
I think we have to mute
We're
for a
told
second.
maybe two
I'll
other
talk
people
over this for a
critically-
second. Yeah, here we go.
Here we go.
Here's the interview with.
I heard the shots. I thought it was firecrackers to begin with. Somebody over there was screaming, he's been shot. So I made my way over. I said, I'm an emergency department physician. Let me help you. The guy had spun around, was jammed between the benches. He had a headshot here. There was lots of blood, and he had brain matter. And so I got him. There's a helicopter coming in to get him. I got people
not
there
good.
really helpful. I got
Was there only one
on the
person
bench,
shot that you saw?
and I did CPR, did chest compressions as well as the breathe one.
I mean, at that point, it's basically just like
I saw more shots hit.
it's basically just symbolic, you know. At that point, you're just going through the motions. Like when you have a headshot with an AR, like I mean, in like the temple site, that's it. Like that's it. You know. Hey, maybe if like some people have gotten lucky, like they've gotten pistol cartridges rounds in their brain and survived, but like a high velocity round like 223, I mean it's gonna yaw. It's gonna tell me.
Well, I mean,
you're done.
We heard his interview and we saw officers picking him up. His body was completely limp and
He's
fell
gone.
in between the riser behind him and the one below him. Like he just was. That was it. And then apparently there was two other bystanders. One which got shot in the hand or the wrist or something like that.
That's the one that was sitting across. So I think the one that got shot was the one that was in between the building and Trump, and then the other two that got shot were past the bleachers, past Trump
on the backstop.
On the backside, and those are the ones where it hit the rail and it hit his hand.
And then hit the hydraulic lift.
Okay. Wild. Bullets do crazy shit when they hit hard surfaces. They really do. So then we got the bullet at 55-35.
We have a bullet at 50. Bullet at 55-35. Yep.
Let's go there.
Oh yeah, there it goes right there. Yep.
Look at that bad boy.
He turns his head to look at the presentation that they have, and as he turns it, bullet enters here, and then I don't know if that's a separate bullet or
no, that's the bullet
that went right through his
It's
ear.
moving so fast that the camera frame it catches it as a dash, so it looks like a fucking spear, a giant toothpick. But because the bullets, it's supersonic round, so within, I mean, your 223 is not going to go subsonic till you're probably outside of like 600-700 meters.
What that means to regular people listening is it's breaking the sound. It's going faster than the sound.
It's going really fucking fast. That's where it derives all its ballistic power from. Is what is it?
It just tears through
BC
everything
ballistic
in its path.
coefficient they call it. It's just so fast. It's actually just like a 22 on steroids, but because it's going so fast and because the bullet becomes unstable when it hits matter, then it tumbles and yaws and starts spinning and doing crazy shit. That's what makes it dangerous. But it didn't hit enough mass to tumble. It just cut right through Trump's ear.
It just sliced through.
So
just went right through it like there was paper.
Yeah, you usually have to hit a little bit of mass. If it hits just a very thin surface or something, it's not going to yaw. It's not going to tumble. So that's just cutting straight through Trump's ear, and it's moving so fast that it appears as a giant toothpick because it's supersonic. So
Wild.
Yeah. But
in what an era that we live in, that they could capture it down to this
fucking crazy.
The whizzing toothpick of a bullet flying past Trump as it exited.
He got so lucky, just happened to turn his head just right at that minute. Otherwise, it's gone through the back of his fucking
Irish?
head.
I don't know, but he's
Right?
got luck.
I think he's Scottish.
For days, son.
And that's the thing, like, they, Secret Service and law enforcement, everybody, they just got lucky.
Yeah, pure luck.
Pure luck, dude. If again, the kid was 20 years old, he didn't get the shot off, or all that other stuff. I mean, he didn't know, he wasn't ready for what he was about to try to do.
Yep.
You get maybe a 30-year-old or someone a little bit more senior.
Someone with some more range time. Yeah.
Range time, a little bit smarter, a little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, totally different story. Secret Service and them, bro, they didn't do their job because Trump got hit.
It was a failure.
You know
it was
what I mean?
a security failure.
Yeah, it was a security failure, and they got lucky that Trump is still alive.
For sure. And it was wild, man. Like, I was at a friend's house and I was just leaving. I had a family member got locked out of the house, and I was heading back. And right as I was pulling up, I heard the reports that there was shots fired at a Trump rally. And then my brother was telling me, he's like, dude, they hit him, but it sounds like he's all right. And I was like, oh wow, thank God. I'm like, that's insane. Like, can you believe it really happened? And then I watched most of this start to unfold. That picture I didn't see till a day or two later.
Dude, my Twitter alert, like, it went off, and I was like, what? I click on it, all of a sudden it just started Trump. I was like, holy cow! I watched the video. I was like, damn.
Dude, it was so crazy to see him like reach for his ear, and then he realized immediately, oh shit, I gotta get down.
Duck. He's like,
dude, and then when he
oh,
gets
shit,
up
Hunter.
and then does his fight thing, like, yeah, the whole that whole
Speaking of which,
thing was surreal.
did you hear the parts where he was like,
Yeah,
let me get my shoes. Let me get my shoes.
He's like, where are my shoes?
He's like, where are my shoes?
And they showed pictures of, like, one of the shoes just sitting idly on stage because I think when they piled on top of him, like, getting tackled, like, shoes just fucking came off. So, yeah, we got it, the picture of Trump with his fist in the air.
Here, I got it. It's, with 5804 in it. I'll pull it up here. That's going to be an iconic photo in American history.
Forever.
That's going to be in some history books, like, forevermore as we're a country, basically. That's going to be in the history books. Like, that's some iconic shit.
Dude, apparently that was, like, a New York Times photographer that was just positioned by the stage, and when this was over, just was, like, aiming up at him or something like that. Yeah. I mean, that's crazy. Like, what is the man feeling in that moment? Like, I can only guess that his adrenaline was going crazy. He realizes that he's almost been killed, and he's basically just saying, like, you tried to get me, but you didn't get me. Like, I'm still here. And projecting to the audience, I'm all right. I'm okay. Like, they didn't get me. They tried to shoot me, but they missed.
Trump was pumped. Dude. He was fucking pumped.
He's not even, like, shook. It's the crazy thing. He knows he almost died. He's just like, he's like, fuck him.
Well,
think
about it, bro. He's from a
fuck him where they breathe.
Trump's from a big city, bro. He's from New York.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like anybody. I mean, like, he got punched in the face. He's like, no, fuck that. Like, I want to fuck someone up. Like, that's what got triggered in him.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, it wasn't.
He's not a pussy. Like,
exactly.
He's not at all a pussy. You can say what you will about Trump, but pussy he is not.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
that's some legit shit right there.
Tremendous photo. That will be on T-shirts probably fucking everywhere leading up to the election. Like, you think Che Guevara had his shirt? Like, this is going to be, like, Viva la Revolucion, America first. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bro, that's a poster in a bunch of people's houses, bro.
100%.
You couldn't orchestrate a better picture, bro.
No.
Like, this is some Mount Rushmore type of shit right
There's another picture where this guy, the Secret Service guy, they you could see his watch, and I guess like Navy SEALs, like certain guys get have watches by what is it, Omega?
You like dive watches.
Yeah, like the Omega and all this other stuff, and like they're like, dude, that watch company couldn't ask for a better advertisement.
Yeah,
because like it's the first thing you see in the picture, other than before this picture.
That's great.
You know,
tremendous.
One thing I think we skipped over was the eyewitness account of the guy at 6:09 to 7:25, where that guy.
Oh, okay, yeah, wasn't.
I think.
Oh, yeah,
that was my bad. But he explains that they alerted law enforcement.
Let me adjourn the baño and
sure,
we'll take it back to.
We'll take a quick break.
I'll just get it situated here. 6:09. Yeah, you're right. We did skip over
that. Was one of the best interviews. That was out pretty much right away. And one thing that we should note about all this is, social media and independent media were way ahead of CNN and all the other major networks uncovering this.
As they usually are. But yeah,
we'll take a break right there and we'll pick it back up. 7:25, so just a little over a minute.
All right, let's listen to this bad boy.
All right,
let me know when you're
back.
When you're rolling again.
We're back, and we'll give you the eyewitness account of one of the people who saw the shooter on the rooftop.
Here we go.
Crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? Like they didn't know what was going on. We're like, hey,
this
right here on the roof, we can see him from right here. We see him. He's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him up the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for, 2 or 3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%. 100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes.
He was up there.
You saw him up there for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. At least 3 to 4 minutes.
And you were telling the police and the Secret Service.
We were telling the police. We were
He's still got his beer in his koozie. Look at this guy.
This
What a
guy's
savage.
he's a vibe, man. He's a whole vibe.
Yeah.
Could they binoculars? Could they see him? Probably not, because the roof, the way the slope went.
It says wanted on there. It's got a picture of Trump on the koozie. It
Why
says
is there
wanted.
not Secret Service on all of these roofs here? I mean, this is not a big place.
Did you see, obviously everyone, when the shooting started, everyone was very panicked. Did you see what happened to him at all?
Oh, yeah, they blew his head off.
Okay, sorry.
There's a
Secret
body.
Service blew his head off.
Okay, we just be careful because we don't quite know who's watching, but you're pretty sure they shot the guy?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
Yep.
You saw that happen?
Yep.
Oh, there's his rifle.
And did you
Yep,
see them
AR-15.
go up to him afterwards, or?
Look at the blood trail
It's a slump down
as
the
it
roof.
They had
drips
their
down the
guns pointed
slope.
at him, make sure he was dead. He was dead, and that was it. It was over.
We'll stop it there.
Wild. Just wild.
So we're dealing with an eyewitness who didn't have the benefit of listening to all these things on the news afterward and told you exactly what happened.
Yeah.
He had a rifle. Are you sure? 100%. Yes, we could see him. He had a rifle. Are you sure that he fired? Yes, I'm 100% certain. And then we saw the Secret Service shoot him. They shot him in the head. He hasn't sat here like we have and watched all these eyewitness accounts. This motherfucker's still chilling with his beer in his hand, telling the BBC
How
news
it is.
reporter. So I guess the BBC is covering Trump rallies in Pennsylvania now too. Great. No, that's good. We got to bring the British over, right? You want to see how we do, whatever. But he's telling you this in real time. They interview this guy literally probably within
Minutes.
Within
Minutes.
20, 30 minutes of the whole thing happening.
Yeah.
He didn't see any of this. He's not fabricating this. He told you with like certainty, confidence level of what he saw. It's wild to see that guy talk. Are you sure? Yes, I'm 100% certain.
Yeah. That guy's not bullshitting.
What a wild thing to watch up close. It must be like watching a movie in real time because you're just sitting there as a spectator. You can't do anything at that
Dude,
point.
like they say, like it's like watching a train wreck. You can't turn away.
Yeah.
You're just
You just gotta watch the shitstorm unfold. It's pretty crazy, but yeah, like that. So that was. Can you imagine like the frustration like of those people? Just like, what are you doing, Lon? What are you doing, security team? Like, I've been standing here yelling and pointing at this guy. Cops are running around their chickens with their fucking heads cut
You would
off.
think
They
like
can't
one
talk to
dude
Secret
would just put his
Service.
gun up and just like shoot
Suppress.
that way.
It's
Like,
time to
just
hey, buddy, hold me up. I'm gonna sit on your
Jump
shoulders.
from the ground up
I'm gonna
just to fire
sit
near the rooftop
on my
just to
on your
scare this
shoulders and just. I'm
what
just
one
gonna
guy-
suppress.
That's
Like,
what one guy said. He's like, dude, he goes, the cops, the local officers just shot into the ground to get everybody's attention
I heard that too. Yeah.
and just you know,
Start
like,
firing shots to
just
scramble
anything. Yeah.
People. Yeah.
At that point.
yeah, I mean, and if I'm local law enforcement, I just have my sidearm, and I'm gonna get to where that guy's fucking standing.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly,
The shooter,
where
where?
you're
Let me go to
seated.
where you're at. Like, where is he at? Let me see if I can. Oh, that motherfucker! Like, and I'm gonna probably suppress at that point. Like, I think they'd be within the ROE to actually.
Yeah.
Dump
as
shots
long
at
as
him.
you could clearly see there was.
He's got a
they're
rifle.
Firing up. Nobody else is on that roof.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
So if you can see that there's no other targets behind there that could have been
I doubt it.
compromised,
Yeah.
or killed or hurt. At that point, like you
time
said,
to
fire
put lead.
the gas, scare this guy.
Yeah.
Just cause some kind of fucking commotion.
I'd put
to
lead at
distract
him.
off his game plan.
Yeah, I would with my sidearm, with my Glock or whatever the fuck sidearm weapon. It's like, okay, now I'm going to suppress and at least keep that motherfucker's head down, until we can get people up there with, shimmy up the ladder and actually take him out or capture him. So, at least so he can't get shots off. But this, I don't know what the fuck they were doing. It sounded like a real shit show. So.
Well,
But we have
that
one-
event, we'll switch to one last thing.
With the bullseye 1 hour 13, right?
Yeah, 1 hour 13 second mark
Yeah.
roughly. you'll see the picture probably come up on the.
There we go. There it is. So
Here
you can
was
explain
a recent
this.
quote from Biden after the last debate. We're done talking about the debate. It's time to put Trump in the bullseye.
The timing is just right before the attempted assassination. Just
And apparently there
hysterical.
was a similar quote from either him or Kamala Harris talking about like a target on his back or something like that after the debate. So, you know, currently we see the mainstream media acting surprised that Biden is like in a state of dementia and he's in a state of mental decline.
Like he's senile. Oh, who saw
When
that coming?
You
Yeah,
got
it's been this
podcasters
way.
like Rogan and all
Yeah.
the other podcasters out there have been saying this for the last 2-3 years. Like, dude, this guy's having a hard time like speaking in complete sentences at his speeches and stuff like that. But then to say to put the bullseye on him, right? And it's not just this quote. This is, like you say, the irony is crazy that this happens, right? But also to say that like Trump will destroy democracy. This will be the end of democracy. It's like, first of all, you guys sound like the boy who cried wolf, because no matter who the president is, I don't know that alone destroys democracy. Like, we can argue that Biden ruined the fucking country and that he's continuing to do that. That you know,
Yeah.
the border's not secure.
You can be a bad president, right?
Yeah.
But how does that ruin democracy? Like, he was elected, right? The people voted for Biden. He was elected. He did a bad job. He bungled it. He had weak-ass policy, and he was ineffective. But that doesn't, like, ruin democracy. The country's worse
Right.
off for it, you could say. It's an easy argument to make. But I don't see how that ruins democracy. Like,
Destroys democracy.
yeah, and same with Trump. It's like you can not like his policies. Like, okay, he's got border enforcement. Okay, he's maybe not good for the environment. He favors, tamping down the
Drilling
EPA.
and
How does
fracking
like
and
gutting
stuff.
the EPA destroy democracy? Like he was elected to do that. Like you knew what their platforms were. We elected them, either Trump or Biden, and it doesn't really. The only way he destroys democracy is if he refuses to leave and he appoints himself king or dictator, and that's, to me, that's some extreme partisans will say like he'll do that, like he'll never leave office or whatever, like
that's
he'll
what they're
import it.
saying, but
I'm like,
dude,
that's not gonna. It's so sensational and so like just laughably unrealistic.
Yeah,
Like
like,
it would.
it's not gonna happen.
It's just not happening, like by any stretch of the imagination. Like people's brains are so fucking warped. It's like, if people's definitions of democracy is their political agenda. Like, democracy isn't just because your political agenda isn't being played out by the leadership of the country doesn't mean democracy was destroyed. It just means like the person you didn't like was elected, and that's democracy working.
I agree with
So,
everything you're saying. I think
Right.
that's the most that is basically the most reasonable explanation for what happens when you have a president. I don't believe that he's gonna that if Trump wins, that he's gonna stay in office.
I do not.
But what I do think that type of talk does, like, you're gonna destroy democracy. That seems to be saying to people like, we need a revolution.
He's an
We need
existential
an
threat to the
assassination.
country.
Yeah, you need an
He must be
assassination
killed,
because,
right?
Because if
right.
he gets elected, like, America, like, it's been a rough years.
It's over,
gonna
right?
It's done.
Yeah.
Like, everything you love, this is going to turn into a third world country. Everything's going to be fucked up. You have to basically revolt now. We have to get into revolt mode or assassination mode. Like, to say that somebody's going to destroy democracy, like, guys, let's quit fucking playing around. Like, obviously they're not going to destroy democracy. Their policies may not be good. They may not be favorable, but they're not going to destroy democracy. And, the powers that be, they don't want people like him elected because he's not going to go along with the bullshit. Like, you got a guy like Trump, the guy's a billionaire. He can't really be bought. Like, he already has money. So what are you going to do for him?
Yeah.
So,
They don't like that about him.
any other thoughts at all, gentlemen?
I don't know. It's just I don't know. Like, I don't know when to be shocked anymore, right? Like, we've had a pandemic. We've had crazy riots and stuff during the pandemic. We've had, the economy's not great or whatever. It could definitely be better. And then we have like an assassination attempt on the, a presidential candidate. And it's like, I it's crazy, like, seeing people's reaction to this. Like, I see so much stuff online where it's just like, damn, he missed. Like, it's like, hey, this is some really bad shit. Like, you know, like recognize that it's not good. You know, same thing as like if someone took a shot at Biden or whatever, like that's monumentally fucked up. Monumentally fucked up. Like, I don't like the guy. I'm not wild about Trump either. I think I like him a little more than Biden. I think maybe he's got a better chance at setting things right. But I'm not gonna like celebrate if Biden were to get capped. I'd be like, it's absolutely monumentally fucked up and evil.
Me too.
You know.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't celebrate that. I wouldn't celebrate the near miss of Biden getting, you know, fucking grazed by a bullet. Like that's not the kind of country we want to be. That's not the kind of actions people need to be taking. Like at this point, like I don't think it's come to that.
Yeah.
It shouldn't come to that.
I mean, you know, I feel bad for Biden.
Yeah.
You know, like he's in a mental state of decline and he's still trying to be president, right? For whatever reason, whether it's his wife or his family pushing him.
Yeah.
The Democrats ran out of time. They didn't plan enough. They didn't have a youthful, you know, candidate with charisma to replace him. And now they're more or less stuck with him, you know, barring him dropping out, and it seems really late in the game for him to drop out right now. Like at least at this point, I think they have to take the L or whatever. But drop out or even pass away, he's clearly in a state of mental decline. I feel bad for him. I wouldn't want to see the guy shot either. Like, just didn't know the idea that like, hey, we can dispose of these people by just capping them, by killing them publicly while they're speaking and stuff. It's not the kind of world I want to live in.
No, certainly not. I mean, we don't have. I mean, we're like. We're going into like a failed state type status. You know, if that's the norm, like we're. You know, like, I don't know if you saw the series like Narcos or whatever. They had the narco wars where, like, basically Pablo Escobar threw a temper tantrum that he wasn't let into politics and into, you know, Congress or whatever, you know, in Colombia. And then he started, like, a war with the government and started assassinating, you know, presidential candidates, assassinating politicians and stuff. Like, that's the kind of fucked up shit that we don't need to get to. Like, that's when you have basically like a failed state where you can't maintain like law and order and like political you know, appointees and politicians get assassinated just because people are doing power grabs, and it's like at that point then democracy has failed. Then we don't have a democracy when it's ruled by, you know, violence. Like we can't have that. We have to have like peaceful transitions of power, even if people don't like who takes power. Right. We have to have peaceful transition of power because that is how we civilization. That is how you do civilization. So, and without that, then, you know, everything that the founders worked towards, you know, fighting, winning a revolution, drafting a constitution, implementing our system of law, which is a really slick system of law. It was really like a novelty at the time in an age of monarchies to come up with that. And if we just squander that on infighting amongst ourselves, and we've really fallen short, and I hope we don't. So that's what I have to say about that. Yeah.
I think it's like I remember I had seen something, and this was a while back. It was when we were spreading democracy around the world.
Yes.
And they said
spreading freedom.
Yeah, spreading democracy.
Oh, you're a communist like the government. You have to die. Like,
and they were like, you know what? Democracy is great, so the people vote for the stuff you don't like.
Right.
Then democracy isn't good anymore, or the people that they elect, you know what I mean, are
100%.
Aren't in the favor of everybody else's program, then then democracy isn't good. Like I was looking it up because I don't want to butcher it, but like for me, bro, I feel like the English expression or the Chinese proverb, "May you live in interesting times." Yeah. I feel like that's where we're at, bro.
100%.
I feel
I agree.
We live in some really interesting times, bro. Like honestly, like. This is stuff that, you know what I mean, like we used to read about in our textbook in school, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like when we were kids, we didn't have stuff like this happening for a long time. You know, it was pretty chill.
It was like the country was on cruise control.
Yeah,
there
exactly.
was no weird events that would throw off the direction of a nation.
Yeah. And I agree.
Yeah,
I felt that way.
And then to go back to like what you guys were saying about this, like dude, in Mexico right now, during this last election season that they had, dude, and I just wanted to look it up because I didn't want to mess it up, but dude, they had 27 candidates that were killed by the cartels, and other criminal organizations.
So what?
That was
what
like
we don't realize
running for mayor and town councils and stuff
Right.
like that. But bro, once that starts, dude, you know what I mean, like that's you know what I mean, like
It's bad business.
yeah, it's bad business. You know what I mean, like, and that's the point where you start losing control of everything, because now it's who basically gangs, bro. Who controls the streets is who's going to control the government. Who controls the government? You mean like then nobody's safe. You know what I mean,
Right.
that's what people need to realize. Like, I mean, like, again, if a guy like Trump isn't safe because, you know, the powers that be think that he should be president, you know what I mean, then we don't live in a democracy anymore.
Yeah.
And then two, if he's not safe, bro, none of us are safe. You know what I mean? Nobody's gonna come to save us. At the end of the day,
It's
We're all
wild
on our
that
own.
what you just brought up though, because what people don't realize is like, you know, they tried to shoot at Trump, but political violence is an everyday way of life in some of these other countries.
yeah,
It's the norm.
Some of which
yeah.
we might be behind that political violence, trying to get certain people elected or
exactly.
not. But to your point, in terms of living in interesting times, I mean, we live in about as interesting times as you could possibly get in terms of like, it's hard to believe what is real and what is not, and what you can take at face value and what you can't. What's real? What are they telling the truth about? For people who lost trust in the government, the media, the mainstream, I'm one of them. I don't trust any of them anymore. I don't think I ever will again, and it's a shame because I at one point believed that things were legitimate and that the government may be flawed, but they looked out for your best interest in the end of the day, and I don't believe that anymore.
Oh no, wait,
Certainly not.
no.
Someone's best interest, certain entities' best interest, not the normal everyday individual.
And I
in the
think
country.
now what changes everything is social media knowledge. I mean, now there's information is so easy to get. You mean and we get the information like again. If we didn't have Twitter or X or Facebook or all this other stuff, we'd literally be going by what the news stations tell us happened that
Yeah.
day with Trump,
And that's how it was for many years.
and that they would have dictated the
Decades.
stories.
Our parents have a hard time doubting what's on that TV because that's all they knew growing
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
I talk to people that are older and they argue with me and they're like, "No, I saw it on the news." I'm like, "This
On
shit,
the news.
shit's fake, bro. It's fake news. You hear Trump talking about it? I know it sounds stupid, but it's fake. It's not
Yeah,
real."
yeah. I mean, like, dude, like Rachel Maddow got out on the news on NBC and said that, like, you know, the COVID vaccine, you know, stopped COVID in its tracks and wasn't transmissible. That's the news for you.
And
like,
Biden has COVID again. If you guys didn't, if you guys
God.
haven't seen it,
I think he has long COVID. That motherfucker's had COVID
no,
for a long time.
He's
he
in a
literally
bad way.
he's not gonna do some appearance because he has COVID. He's sick.
good thing he got the jab.
They're going to try to keep him out of the spotlight. Well, they say that may have contributed to his mental decline, according to Dr. Peter McCall. It's a factor that's possible that's contributing to his mental decline. Who knows, man?
Yeah.
We'll see. We are living in an interesting time. It's hard to believe what's real and what's not. It's hard to believe that we just saw that, right? We had 9/11 in our lifetimes, and then it was a 20-year war in both countries, and we were on cruise control. Most regular Americans weren't asked to sacrifice, but as we go forward in the podcast, we'll be talking about other topics, including the war in Ukraine too, which I believe was avoidable, and I believe it's something that could be settled if we try. But you don't really hear talk about peace so much. You just hear about
Escalation.
And the thing is, bro, you're never gonna beat Russia. You're not.
Not in a nuclear war, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
They have
yeah,
more
like
nukes.
that's like the last.
In a conventional war, we can, but if they decide to go, they have more nukes than us. That's like, if it actually comes to that, I mean, we're talking the end of civilization. Like,
Yeah, exactly. But you mean
it's
like,
over.
but other
If it
it's
comes to that.
it's one extreme to the other. You know what I mean? But you're not gonna. Ukraine is fucked. I'm sorry. Like
They can't beat Russia.
Yeah, they're not gonna beat Russia. It doesn't matter how many weapons we give them or what we do. Even if we put boots on the ground, I don't see us doing anything.
Yeah.
We're
Well,
not.
we don't want to end the war. We don't want to really beat Russia. I think we want to prolong it so we can basically. I mean, that's the next money laundering scheme, right?
Yeah, well,
so
that's
to the military-industrial complex is just like, okay, well, the war, Iraq died down, Afghanistan died down. Now we have to find a new conflict, ferment, and stir up a new conflict so we can have basically like essentially what is a money laundering scheme to defense contractors over a course of time.
Yeah. No, yeah, I get that part. Like I agree 100%. I mean, but let's be real. Like that's the reason we're there. It has nothing to do with anything else.
And it's not, and that's why we're not talking any talks of peace or resolution or any kind of agreement. We want it to go as long as we can. We want it to just prolong it at the expense of Ukraine, at their blood that they pay, at the expense of Russia, the blood that they pay, and it's just going to go on as long as we'll have it, at least as long as this ruling establishment will have it. So I wonder if Trump actually survives to get elected, what he'll do to kind of tamp that shit down.
Well, apparently Kennedy has been seen at the Republican National Convention behind the scenes, so I'm starting to wonder if Trump is talking about a cabinet position in the event that Trump wins. Yeah. Maybe he would. I think
State Department
Kennedy would be a great Secretary of State to go over there and start negotiating with the Russians, with the Ukrainians, and be that neutral party in between the two. Well, we're not so neutral when we're giving them all the weapons and whatever, but you get my point.
Yeah.
To be the middle ground that settles this war and ends the conflict, so people don't need to keep on dying over it.
Not to be a devil's advocate on this one, but think of it this way though: the main people in the Ukraine, like the main guys up there, dude, do they really want that war to end? They're making billions right now.
True.
I mean, like. They're not gonna sign off on it. At the end of the day, they're the ones. It's not their blood that's spilling on the.
They're making a lot of money because they're siphoning it. They're skimming off the top.
Yeah, they're making a shitload of money.
They're skimming a lot. The ruling powers of Ukraine, the guys running the show, they're skimming a lot off the top for sure.
Yeah, I mean, so like that's another like. There's so many different factors. I feel that we're not gonna see the end of that for a while. You know what I mean? Like
I agree.
At the end of the day, I think even Russia benefits from it. You know what I mean? Because the more and this is the thing that people don't understand. And this is maybe just me talking on my ass and I don't really know stuff. But bro, all these countries that we put sanctions on, we don't hurt. All they do is hurt. The sanctions don't hurt the people in charge. It hurts all the people on the bottom, all the normal people, the working class, everything else. Everybody else that's on top, bro. When countries get sanctioned, guess what? I just made more money. Because I'm from Iran, so guess what? All my buddies in Dubai or in all these other Middle Eastern ports that are open for trade, when that stuff gets there, it gets lost. I get it, and I sell it at premium dollar to everybody else in my country. You know what I mean? So, and that's how it is, bro. Dude, I've been there. I've seen fucking. You see ships and loads of American goods coming into these Middle Eastern fucking ports. And then that shit disappears. Where do you think it goes? It goes to all these countries that we have sanctions on. It doesn't affect those countries. They make more money off of that shit.
Well, yeah,
you know I mean, like,
and to piggyback off that point, somebody said this recently. I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, but they said the same people who aren't keeping you secure right here in your own country in America are the ones that are telling you that we should be caring about what's happening on the border between Russia and Ukraine. Mm-hmm. Like, they got us worried about some conflict over there. When we have millions of people coming over our border, we don't know who they are. They're coming from all across the world, China, Africa, the Middle East, all sorts of countries, South America, all of them coming here. We have no idea who they are. We deal with crime as an everyday part of our life in every major city in America. And the people who tell us, like, that's what we got to worry about. We got to worry about that over there are the ones that are leaving us vulnerable in our own countries. So I can't believe them. And to Lewis's earlier point, you got to be ready to defend yourself. Justice starts in the street, dude.
Yeah, bro. And then,
in my opinion,
in regards to like the people crossing the border, they want to make it seem like, all right, they're just crossing the border and that's it. I mean, like they disappear, bro. You gotta realize, like, these people are organized. I mean, like, you have a lot. I'm gonna get shit for this. You have a lot of Venezuelans, bro, that come over here, and you think that they're not organized. That you think that they're just, they're all just independent cells that are just coming in. You know what I mean? Individuals. No, bro. You have a lot of these people that are organized. They know each other since back over there, bro. They let all those people out of jail. Those are all gangs. Those are all things.
I heard from Venezuela is actually because you have a lot of criminals.
Dude, right now in the city of Chicago, bro.
It's not good.
You don't hear about it, but there's a lot of stuff, a lot of neighborhoods where you have a lot of these people that are organizing, and they're gangs that are now, starting to have conflicts with other gangs, and I mean, or you have gangs that now are they're already there, that are established, that are taking these guys in. You know what I mean? And bro, we're gonna have a really big problem, and people want to. And I'm talking, bro, as a Mexican with immigrant parents and everything else. I have nothing against immigration or people coming into this country to for a better life and everything else. I have no problem with that. But I feel like they let the border be overran, and now it's a problem, and they let the genie out of the bottle, bro. And now it's gonna be a big problem. They might not see it now, bro, but it's always been a big problem when you have a big influx of people like that come from certain countries or from other countries. I mean, once they get here, they start organizing everything else, bro. That's how we've got it. Literally, if you look at the history of all the street gangs in the United States, they've all started like that. From
MS-13.
Yeah, dude. Let's even go like, I don't know if you see this. I thought this was a cool one. Samoans in California.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, so Samoans, when wherever they were deported from or taken from, a bunch of Samoans were dropped in New Zealand, and a bunch of Samoans were dropped in California. So the Samoans in New Zealand, lived a good life because there was no gangs, no anything. The ones that they dropped in California, bro, had to fight every day. So I don't know if you guys know this story, but so the Samoans get dropped into California. They're big dudes. You know what I mean? They're fucking
they
look like The
are.
Rock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Apparently, the Samoans just as a genetic,
genetic.
beings,
They
they're
can
just
put on
large
a lot of
people.
mass.
They have
Yeah.
more NFL players per capita than any other nationality.
Genetically they're big, tough people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what happened in California was you had all these Samoans, and they started defending themselves. So basically, bro, what happened was all the other gangs, all the Hispanic and all the black gangs, they couldn't physically beat up the Samoans, so they start taking knives and chains and everything else to these gang fights with the Samoans. The Samoans start beating the shit out of them still. So then it escalates to guns and everything else, bro. But
Fuck.
that's what escalated the gang violence to where it was and it is now. I mean, like, it doesn't seem like nothing. But bro, like, that's just one story of one region of people that were displaced and put in somewhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they had to organize
Like,
to defend themselves.
What ripple effect does that
Yeah,
have later?
exactly. Now you have the Cubans in Miami. You have you have and now Miami's by the Haitians. You know what I mean? You have Mexicans when they first come into Chicago. You know what I mean? And they establish gangs. LA, the same thing. You know what I mean? Why do people think that it's gonna be different now? Well, now you have Venezuelans. You have a lot of other. You have and it's not just the Venezuelans. I bring those up because that's where we have a big influx here. I mean, before it was the Salvadorians with the MS-13.
Yeah.
All these different people, bro. Once they come here, dude, and it's not their fault, but they have a choice. They have to defend themselves, and they end up being there. But now you have it where they're already gang members when they coming from that place here. So now you have they're not on a learning curve. They already know what they do. Bro, these guys are really good with knives. I mean, like, that's what they do in their country. You know what I mean? So now you have you're putting those guys into a powder keg as it is. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and to your point, it may be quite some time before we really see the full effect. I believe that we haven't seen the full effect of it yet.
Oh no, bro.
We haven't.
The next
this could be the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years before you fully see all the damage that's gonna to let millions of people come over here in these last few years.
Dude, definitely. I think we're gonna get a taste of it during the Democratic National Convention. I think that's gonna be
interesting. We're right here in Chicago, Illinois. For everybody who listens to this all over the place, we're gonna see that. That'll be very interesting to see how the DNC plays.
I think that one's
that's only like a month away, dude.
No, yeah, it's next month in August, bro. Yeah. I feel like that's gonna be your picture of what chaos can look like.
If it goes really bad.
If it goes really bad. Because
we're lucky we're over here on the south side because that shit's going to be all downtown and on the
west side.
Well, because it's at United Center.
It's United Center. So it's all the west side.
Yeah, dude. I wonder if the people in the community there are going to come out and ready to fucking
it's because think about it. Chicago PD is already understaffed as it is. You know what I mean?
Big time.
So, and then, bro, criminals and people that are just wanting to do bad shit aren't dumb. They know that CPD, everybody else is gonna be busy with the Democratic Convention. So guess what? It's open season for 3 days or 4 days on the rest of the
While
city.
they're all deployed down there.
So you think
we
they're
gotta
not
be ready to
you think,
we gotta be vigilant.
You think they're not gonna be
Go to
looting?
Wisconsin shit.
Maybe?
You think they're not gonna be looting? They're not gonna be doing a lot of other stuff, bro. Like honestly, like that's what I've been keeping my eye on. That's what I've been thinking about. To me, that's the biggest test to see how the city, to see how a major city can deal with a situation like that. Because that's gonna put a test on the whole structure of things. You know what I mean, when it comes to everybody's safety. I feel that the DNC, bro, is going to be really interesting.
And on
it
that,
could go really bad or it could go really good.
Well, on that note, too, what I've been hearing out of a lot of commentators is they're concerned that there's going to be like a false flag event to turn people against a major political candidate or just to cause chaos in general, cause chaos and confusion. So perhaps it's a shooting at a church, perhaps it's a bombing at some kind of place in public, whether it be an African American event or not, and they're going to try to cause just chaos and confusion. That's the scary part, because from everything we've seen from COVID to George Floyd to the attempted assassination of Trump, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Like if they allowed some kind of mass shooting or bombing to happen and then tried to turn people against each other. So
yeah.
I think we as a people have to be very careful about overreacting when some major event takes place, whether it's something that happens at the DNC, or any other type of event, to not lose our shit and destroy this whatever's left good that we have amongst ourselves over what could be a false event. Like the powers that be, I wouldn't put nothing past these people. If you want to talk about like good and evil in the Bible, like what we see from some of these people is, to me, the moral definition and the religious definition of pure evil.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. It's bad.
So we got to be really careful about like those exaggerated or false flags events where they try to say, oh, that was a Trump supporter who shot up that church, or that was this or that. Like, how do we fucking know that?
Yeah.
All we know is leading up to the election, there was just a mass shooting, and this guy's like, they're claiming Trump. Like, the part about all the funny thing is, if you look it up, you'll see all these clips of Trump calling for unity, and when he first got elected, and then when he won the Iowa caucus this time, and embracing people in the African American community too. So if they want to say that this man's a racist, what, because he believes in secure borders and he doesn't want fucking criminals crossing that shit? Like,
right.
I don't know that makes him a racist. I think that just makes him somebody who believes in that law and order is a glue that holds this entire society together. Like, the whole thing that we live, the whole life that we live based on law and order, is that we all have to agree to follow that to keep order in the society.
Bro.
And if we decide not to do that and just flaunt the rules and don't abide by them and don't pass that down to our children, it's just going to be just random ass chaos.
Chaotic, yeah.
Yeah, dude.
100%.
We're lucky to be alive, gentlemen. We're lucky Trump didn't get shot. Cheers to Trump. You know, like him, hate him, love him, want him to get elected. I support the man in terms of, you know, he lived and maybe he deserves another chance after everything he's been through. And we'll circle back another time. Perhaps we circle back when more information is available.
Let's circle back after the DNC.
We're just everyday people just talking about what is one of the craziest events we've seen in our lifetimes that just happened just a few days ago. And you know, for the people on the bottom lines, local law enforcement, for even the people in the lower ranks of the Secret Service, we're not trying to cast judgment. You know, Matt and I are lawyers. We're lawyers. We're not judges. We're not trying to judge you. Things happen, although it appears that there are some glaring and obvious failures. We've never had to go through that type of situation, and Lord willing, we never will. I say it on every single podcast as we sign off. There's not a lot of things we can control. One of those things we can control is how we treat other people, and it's more important in these types of times than ever before to not turn it against each other. Kindness is the most powerful resource we have, and we have it in abundance. And you can make the world a better place by using that kindness. It'll allow you to get along with just about everybody because it's a universal language. So be good to yourself, be good to your family, be good to your community, and tune into the next episode of the Blessed Life University podcast. We love you guys. Peace.
That was a good one. I feel like we